realise that this isn't an issue just for one type of person or one class. It's, as Sister Liz said, it's a classless issue, and it's an issue that is very important for Muslims to participate in. You know, our religion teaches us to practice in a certain way, and we should be conscious of the things we pick up. But do we need them? Do we actually want them? Do we, you know, think about all the implications, think about all of the different things and all the different process. Just because something costs very little doesn't mean it hasn't gone through a great chain in order to get to where it has done. Doesn't mean it hasn't gone through a number of people, you know, to get to where it has done. You know, everything has an implication, and just to be conscious of your thread, because your thread is for you. You know, that's what you're taking away, and just to be aware of that.
It is about establishing a relationship with those workers in a very holistic and in a very ethical way. Alhamdulillah. We'll now move on to our last segment, where we'll be looking at swap shops. But before this, let's have a look at this feature on the matter.
We women spend more on clothes than we would like to admit. We tend to get out of hand when we go shopping. Wearing new clothes makes anyone feel confident, and high street fashion has allowed us to access this feeling readily. Over the last 50 years, accessible fashion has become a dominant force in the fashion industry. The market has now created an industry where women now want clothes that are fast, disposable, and most of all cheap. Our consumer habits tend to blind our creative thinking. Something that should be a creative entity is now entwined into a web of consumerism. In London, a few different initiatives have been taking place to get you all thinking ethically. I've come to London's Spitalfields Market, where Made in Europe have put together a swap shop. What's happening here today?
Well, today we're from Made in Europe. We're a charity based in East London. We're holding a swap shop. So what we're trying to do is all part of an ethical fashion campaign, so in response to the Bangladeshi factory collapse. So we want people to start thinking more ethically about their clothes, where they're sourced from. You know, you don't always have to buy a new outfit for Eid. You can come and do a swap shop. It means that you reduce consumer demand. You think more ethically about your clothes. You're not wasteful. And we're here with an up-and-coming fashion designer, Zina.
Wow, that's really exciting. So what have you got on display here today?
Well, today it's a future project that I'm going to work with Made, where I'm going to launch the first ethical hijabs, inshallah, in 6 months' time, and work with Made, because I think
ethical hijabs?
Yeah, ethical hijabs, as in where I look at who the people who make it, they get fair treatment, fair wage. So I look into the policies, because I don't want to work with any manufacturers that don't follow these policies.
This innovative idea has two functions. Firstly, it allows us to recycle and make use of our unused items, and at the same time allows us to have the freedom of buying new clothes. We should all start thinking more ethically when it comes to fashion. So when deciding on your perfect outfit, you don't have to spend lots of money. Why not do your part for recycling and go down to your local swap shop?
Mashallah, that was a very interesting clip on swap shops as well. It was quite interesting when the comment was made that women want fast, disposable fashion, and we might want this without even realising it. What do you think about that, Sister Yasmin?
Well, women were made to, you know, we want to adorn ourselves. We like to adorn ourselves. We like to look beautiful. You know, this is something which is in our nature. But in order to do that, we don't need to constantly be buying new things. I think that's the message of, you know, going to a swap shop, you know. There are often things that you have in your wardrobe that are beautiful, but you just don't fit into them anymore, you don't like them anymore, they don't suit your style anymore, things have moved on, but there's somebody else that might very well do. Absolutely. So, you know, utilising the fact that all women want to do this, so I'm sure there'll be another woman down the road who might just like that dress that you no longer wear.
MashaAllah. What are the other benefits that we can take away from engaging with swap shops, Sister Liz?
Well, I think it's a really lovely idea, and it's something that we do a lot of, you know, in my sort of local community as well, because before you know it, you know, your hijab collection or whatever it is has got out of control. So, you know, why not, you know, if you fancy something new, swap it with other sisters that, as you say, are probably in the same boat as you. The other thing that a lot of the sisters I know do is with their abayas or jilbabs, if they fancy a change, instead of getting something new, they actually just alter what they've got, you know, add like a different trim or, you know, something just to make it look different and, you know, freshen it up a bit. And that's a really good tip, I think.
It's quite interesting because in the future there was this talk about creativity versus consumerism. But clothing isn't so much about creativity. creativity, and of course we could actually establish that within what we already have. What do you think about that, Sister Hosanna?
Definitely. I think sometimes, you know, we forget about garments and actually what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran about garments. And there's a really interesting article on sahibweb.com that talks about this. And the writer, Sadia Kidwai, who wrote the article, she says, we forget the sublime purpose of garments and the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created garments for us, and they're to protect our vulnerabilities. And often in putting the garments on, we forget that we're actually, you know, making other people vulnerable in that whole process. So we need to understand that garments are a gift to us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we have to use them just as we use everything else accordingly. You know, a pen could be a force for good or for bad, and garments likewise. If we're not buying them ethically and we're not thinking about the whole ethical purpose, actually, you know, those garments could be something against us, and that's something we really have to consider. So ultimately, we need to remember that garments are a gift, and they have to be treated with the respect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given that. And you know, subhanAllah, they're mentioned in the Quran, so definitely they have a very elevated status.
Absolutely. Exactly. So we definitely need to make sure that we sort of go through swap shops or recycle or swap hijabs. Just become
upcycle.
More, exactly. Be better consumers.
Women's AM swap shop. There we go.
We should try that.
I might just come down for that.
Just like for that. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of today's programme. We are back with an exciting show next week, and to start the week off, our sisters will be looking at the rights and responsibilities of women in marriage. So do join us for that interesting topic. If you have missed any of the shows for this week, do tune in on Sunday at 11 a.m. for Women's AM's Best Bites. But before we go, here's another quick reminder of this week's competition.
This week on Women's AM, we have another exciting competition for you sisters out there. Up for grabs this week are 3 copies of a wonderful children's book entitled The House of Ibn Kathir by S.N. Jalali. For your chance to win a copy, all you have to do is answer the following question. What was Abdul Muttalib's real name? Is it A, Shayba, B, Hashim, C, Abdullah, or D, Ibrahim? To enter, email your answer A, B, C, or D to womensam@islamchannel.tv along with your name and address and what you most like about Women's AM. The deadline for entries is Friday the 25th of April 2014 at 4 p.m. All applicants need to be over 18 and residing in the UK. Please note, only 1 entry per person per household. The winners will be randomly selected from correct entries and they will be announced on Monday's show. So get entering!
A great competition, so be sure to send your entries, inshallah. Remember us and the Ummah in your du'as, and jazakumullah khairan to all the sisters on the panel and to you for watching. We'll see you next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.